Thanks a lot, Tony. As Tony highlighted during his speech, remind everybody, I'm sure that you have all already written to the Council your view on the planning application. Most of you probably objecting. But if you haven't, then I urge you to do it. And if you know other people who haven't, then please tell them to do it. You will find on the council website the address where to write. You can write to the planning office of the Wandsworth Borough. You can also find all the details on our website in the where to write to page. So it's very, very important. I will have probably the occasion to say it more at the end. I think we will probably have again the occasion to hear Tony at the end when you might have some question in the public. But now we are going to listen to Kate.
Well, I must say I feel under no pressure at all going straight after such an accomplished speaker as Tony. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Kate Williams. I'm not an ex-councillor or indeed anyone in the public realm. I'm merely a local resident. I've been a resident of Barnard Road for the last 10 years. That's the road, if anyone knows it, down the back of Marks and Spencer's. I'm a working single mum. I've got a little girl at school in the borough. I have no recent history, anyway, of being a campaigner or local troublemaker. Along with Cyril, though, I was a founder member of the Clapham Junction Action Group because I was horrified at the proposal to build these two vile skyscrapers in our midst. I also felt there'd been nothing like enough public consultation. I vaguely remembered having received a glossy leaflet from the council around a year ago, which, because it showed the now infamous picture of the skyscrapers with their tops cut off, in fact cut off at around the 12th story as far as I can see, did not alert me to the scale of what is actually being proposed. I also tried to attend a presentation that was carried out by the developers in a porta cabin in the council, in the station car park. I don't know whether any of you managed it, but I certainly found on the two occasions I tried it was closed and appeared only to be open during the hours that most people are out of work. In fact, the only reason why I really became aware of the scale of these two towers and the massive scale of the development, in fact, one could probably say a scale not seen in this borough since Battersea Power Station was built some 80 years ago, was because of leaflets put through my door by Cyril, whose efforts I think really do need to be recognised and applauded.
To be very honest, I was helped a lot at the very beginning by my neighbour Felicity Corcoran.
Cyril and Felicity were responsible for the first of the newsletters that went out in around October last year, and then together we put together a second leaflet which went out in November, and the latest leaflet which went to 8,000 homes in the area during the first 2 weeks in January. Cyril also runs the website, to which I'm a contributor. A couple of other people make regular contributions, and we encourage anyone who would like to say anything about the development just to send emails to Cyril and see whether this is something also we really actively encourage you to participate in the debate. Our aim is to create sufficient opposition to the planning application that the council is forced to reject it. In this, we have to bear in mind that the ordinary people, the current planning laws of this country place ordinary people at a distinct disadvantage. Whilst the developers can appeal against a planning decision on grounds that they simply disagree with it, as far as I can understand, local people concerned, local residents who have to live with the results of that planning decision are only entitled to appeal on the grounds that there's been some mistake of law, which I understand happens on very few occasions. For that reason, the council needs to be convinced, and it has to spend ratepayers' money wisely, and has to be convinced of a real case for rejecting planning appeals that are put in front of them. That is why we have asked everyone in our newsletters to make their views known to the council, so that there's sufficient opposition. It's not just one or two people saying, I think these are ugly, I think these are hideous, but everyone in the community expressing those kind of views and giving reasons also why on planning criteria that are recognised by the council, these proposals should be rejected. And it seems that actually the groundswell of opinion is very much to that effect. If you go on the council's excellent planning website, you're able to see all of the comments that have been submitted by people over the last 4 or 5 months regarding this planning application, and you will see that as of yesterday's date at least, there were over 400 letters written into councillors opposing the plans as they stand, with approximately 60 letters in support, 15 of which actually were written by the same lady. A resident of
name and shame.
A resident of Walthamstow Close, who copies all of her emails to an organisation called the Quattro Group. Now, I was intrigued to know who the Quattro Group were, so I went on their website, and lo and behold, they're a PR agency specialising in acting for developers and generating good publicity. So if the lady whose emails contribute 25% of the support comments to the councillors here this evening, I would love to meet her, and perhaps we could talk about her relationship with the developers. As to what people are saying in their emails to the council, I think it would be fair to say, well, it's probably fair, it's actually to quote from some of them, and I did just print out some just to give you a flavour of the kind of comments being put in by local residents, by local businesses and local station users. Had I gone back all 4 months, you could have been here all evening. But I literally just went back over the last couple of weeks to bring some of these comments to your attention. This gives a very good flavour. It does not meet the needs of local residents and frequent station users. Out of scale, no balance of affordable housing, woefully inadequate parking, out of character, an eyesore. I lost count of the number of times I read that one. We locals are having our choices eroded. Eliminating the toll in the station is unacceptable and will worsen people congestion. This from a local businesswoman. The permanent loss of office space will add to my costs as a local businesswoman as scarcity value kicks in. They will dominate the skyline into the next century and beyond. Overcrowding is currently the biggest issue, and squeezing a lot more people into the limited land area of the site with the accompanying drain of resources seems an utterly nonsensical approach. Network Rail is committed to providing a new entrance, which is fantastic. If the current proposals go ahead, this will put a stop to it. We should not have to endure the current facilities for the next 6 to 8 years while the proposals are in planning. More consultation is needed. Overwhelming. Instantly overwhelming the area, invalidating much of the council's past achievements. Hideous and ungainly. And this one of my particular favourites, this worst kind of oafist commercialism presented in a deliberately misleading way. Its contribution will be of the kind that spray paint makes to a train or vomit to a pavement. But seriously, from local traders will damage the small shops and market stalls in the area. This one is someone concerned about the economic climate at the moment. He says high-risk, glitzy developments might be popular during the occasional boom times, but become undesirable and impractical during the economic downturns. Why does Wandsworth want to create slums of the future? As a local business and homeowner in Clapham Junction, I would say, everywhere you go, ordinary folk are talking about it and are dismayed by the proposal. Send this proposal to Canary Wharf where it belongs and not Nappy Valley. At the risk of boring you, I'll stop there, but one other contribution, which is a very interesting one that Tony's already referred to, is that of PCS. And in addition to the points that Tony raised, they also say that the scheme makes no reference to the absence of any satisfactory relocation of premises or the effects on Clapham Junction Centre resulting from the loss of 241 full-time jobs. It appears that no detailed evidence of viability is made available to third parties, and there is doubt whether our clients' requirements are adequately provided for. Recent falls in market values also suggest that the basis on which the viability claims are made in the application may no longer be valid. So on both business grounds and on personal aesthetic grounds, people everywhere are saying this proposal is bad for Clapham Junction. It's not what we want, and we feel horrified, and as one gentleman I think put it, distressed at the proposals. But it's not just us local people, uneducated as we are in the principles of architecture, who are against this. The Commission for Architecture and the Built Environment, which published their report, as Tony suggested, also makes some really quite harsh criticisms of the design of the towers. They say the distorted forms created will appear ungainly in medium and long-range views of the buildings and unsettling when experienced up close. When viewed obliquely, their expanding and retracting profiles and leaning stance will give an inelegant silhouette, exacerbated by the extruded central slices which emerge to form the tops of the buildings. We understand that the materiality of the towers is intended to echo skyscrapers, such as this Chrysler building in New York, through its use of stainless steel to give it a reflective quality. Whilst we encourage the use of high-quality materials, given its more common association with commercial office buildings, careful judgment is needed as to the extent of its use to produce an architectural expression which is clearly residential. And again, they make comments about the lack of restraint in the design, the use of materials which they consider displays too many conflicting types within the proposals. So it's interesting, I think, to turn and consider just who is in favour of this development. Of course, we could start with Land Securities and Delancey, the two, I think I saw someone describe as local developers, which of course they are not. They're two of the largest developers in the country who teamed up to put this planning application in. They, of course, are so keen on this development that they couldn't be bothered to turn up this evening to justify it to you or to give a balanced view. And their pride in the Twin Towers also shines through their publicity documents, so that in most of the images on public view, they're either shown cut off at the bases, as I think we've already talked about, or else obliquely shown in the distance, so that they look beautifully in proportion to local buildings and landmarks such as the Carphone Warehouse. That's a particular favourite of mine. And then in this one, it's rather sweet. There's one of the towers is so shy, it's hiding behind the building next to it. Now this is interestingly the photograph that Cyril took on the website and tried to make more appropriate by, in place of this building on the right, adding in a replica tower in order to show people that actually when you look down Lavender Hill you will see two large towers, not just one. And for his pains we received a legal letter from Delancey threatening to take us to court for malicious falsehood. So we did withdraw the picture, but we did think that was a quite extraordinary display of conduct. It would, of course, also be quite sweet were it not for the fact that these kind of images are one of the reasons why so few people are really aware of actually what is being proposed, and why people like myself for a whole year sat around and didn't write to the council, because actually we had no idea that what we would be seeing was something of this scale. And for the record, the towers will be 142 metres high and have the same number of floors as the NatWest building, building that many of you will be familiar with. The Civil Aviation Authority have declared that it's high enough to require aircraft warning lights, so that planes arriving at the soon-to-be vastly extended Heathrow Airport don't crash into them. One of the things we have particularly asked for in our campaign is that the developers try and address some of these misrepresentations by providing at the station scale models so that people can really see for themselves very, very clearly the scale of the whole proposal, including, of course, the shopping centre and the commercial facilities which go along inside the application, and can judge for themselves truly what they think of it, but so far that request that we've made has fallen on deaf ears, as has our request that they publish more and better photographs in the station and publish more literature to the site, to local people. I'm afraid it seems that the planning decision may go ahead as early as next month or March without any further information forthcoming from the developers, unless the councillors here this evening are able to tell me otherwise. So who else benefits from this development? Well, of course there's Network Rail. Not of course because they are receiving any glitzy or getting any vast amounts of work done for free under the developers. In fact, it seems that Network Rail is continuing on producing the scheme that producing the charge of the scheme that most people think is associated with the development. They are currently improving the access to station platforms by putting escalators and lifts in. They will soon apparently be carrying out improvement works to the tracks themselves. I think Martin actually, who's just arrived, welcome to you, Martin, is going to talk a little bit more about Network Rail's proposals. But in fact, all it seems that the developers will be doing is replacing the entrances which were demolished as part of the development with two new entrances, one further up St Johns Hill in the old Brighton buildings, many of you know it, and a new station access on the other side, connecting access over the bridge. There are no proposals to extend the bridge, as far as I understand, nor to extend the underpass, which will be closed at both ends and only useful in future as access between the platforms. So it seems that actually what is being delivered by the developers in terms of station improvements is a very, very minimal benefit, and it seems, according to CAVE, the Commission for Architecture and Built Environment that we mentioned earlier, that in fact much of that is flawed because insufficient thought may have been given to the number of people descending through the new entrances, the new escalators that are going to be built. Potentially the insufficient thought has been given to potential overcrowding at rush hours. In fact, it seems inconceivable that with 1,000 more people coming to live in the station, that overcrowding is not going to be a significantly worse problem in the future than it currently is. So why is Network Rail keen on this development? Well, I can tell you why it is, because in its strategic plan, it publishes a strategic plan covering 8 years at a time. Its current one covers 2006 to 2014. It appears to have made some quite wild commitments towards the upgrading of Clapham Junction station, including rafting over the station to provide new accesses. And in all the hoo-ha of the current development, my suspicion is that they're quite secretly relieved that that proposal is now being dropped. I have asked the council for minutes of meetings or correspondence that it's had with Network Rail, trying to remind them of those original commitments, but so far I'm not sure whether I've certainly not received anything. It's very unclear to what extent questions have been asked of Network Rail as to why we seem to be getting such a poor deal in this area. Finally, one set of people, this is quite interesting, you might think would be quite pleased about this development is the local primary healthcare trust, because after all the new medical centre going into the station, isn't there? Well, that was news actually to the primary healthcare trust, because on the 27th of October 2008, they wrote into the council saying, well, asking for clarity as to what was proposed as a local medical centre. They said they'd be concerned whether Section 106 has been used to secure the proposed medical centre without due consultation. Section 106, I'm sure many of you do know here what it is, and I'm sure Martin will explain it in far greater detail. But it is a mechanism whereby developers can get out of commitments such as providing affordable housing if they produce some other benefit to the local public, and this is why the upgrades to the station has become such a major feature of this particular application, and why the medical centre also is being proposed. The Primary Healthcare Trust educated developers here, and they say in fact the developers should be aware that the primary care trusts themselves have already invited tenders for a new GP-led health centre on a site by Clapham Junction and preferably within the station itself. And this is being proposed under the government's equitable access policy, which requires a new facility to be opened by April 2009. So it appears that not only are the proposals for a new medical centre complete news to the PCT, but their proposed development, the proposed development would now either prevent that going ahead or require it to be demolished pretty much as soon as it's been provided. So thank you. It seems that it's very doubtful what benefit at all the local residents are receiving through any of these great plans and proposals. As far as the towers are concerned, it seems that most people are utterly horrified, as I am. And in terms of the other benefits of the station, of the medical centre, of the gym even, which replaces one that's already there on the site, there is no net gain at all for the community. And on that basis, we ask the council to reject these plans outright. We ask the council to hold Network Rail to its commitments to produce the station improvements that it outlined in its strategic plan of 2006 to 2014. And we ask the council also to review its policy towards tall buildings in general. I think by their comments, the public have shown that they're not only opposed to this particular development, but that they're opposed to tall buildings in general on this site. This is a very exposed site on the height of the crest of the London Escarpment. I think Tony's already made a very clear case, not a suitable location for this kind of development at all. So let's please not just reject this development, let's reject all future developments of this type on this site. Anything in future must be a public utility and be far more in keeping with the local environment. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kate. Thank you for this great speech.